Apple CEO Tim Cook is the latest to question the metaverse. He thinks that most people don't even understand what it really is, let alone spend a lot of time within it. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I think he really believes in the metaverse. I'll say that. And the reason why I say that is because I really think that his ultimately coming out and saying that is because Apple is in competition with Facebook to kind of be that next, augmented reality, virtual reality. We saw that they have headsets set to come out in January that are augmented reality, and I think that those two companies are actually kind of right now in the process of competing with one another to really build that next component that's going to be kind of an everlasting change to media and society as it is.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is Tim Cook, knocking Meta while they're down, but I do agree with him to some extent. I think that, the average person can't really grasp on what the metaverse is and getting into it. I do agree with him on that. The other thing is that the only way that you can join the metaverse is if you have the headset, which the average person definitely does not have one of those AR, VR headsets. And that causes a real problem for any company that's trying to make a metaverse and be able to, apply it at scale. It's difficult to be able to get people to want to get into the metaverse if they can't even join because they don't want to spend the money on the proper equipment. Whereas something like Facebook is free. Joining the metaverse, you have to actually get equipment to be able to join that. So I do agree with him, not only in the construct that people in concept don't really understand what it is, and especially because Meta, I wouldn't say, has perfected their craft with the metaverse, despite all the money being poured into it, and as well as the equipment is the additional cost that's keeping people from joining. So I definitely agree with him, but I wouldn't be surprised if I agree with you, James, in the fact that I think that Apple does have something up their sleeve. This is something I easily could see them. They have plenty of products out there in the hands of consumers that they easily could develop something very similar to the Meta headset and try to make it like $99 or something affordable, added into the rope of Apple products that people just keep coming and buying, and then could potentially beat out Mark Zuckerberg and Meta with this.
Well, if there's one thing we know about Apple is it's definitely not going to be affordable. It's not going to be if we're looking at glasses here, it's not going to be $100, bro. It's probably going to be $200, $250 at least. And I mean, I think his kind of stance on it is yes, that he definitely is shaming Facebook on this, but it is like you guys said, they are investing into AR VR, as well as the Snap CEO also said something very similar, and he said that doesn't really know how he feels about the metaverse. Not a big believer of it right now. But Snapchat in their literal UI uses AR VR type technology in their product. But I will say, even though I'm not a big believer in the metaverse, if there is a company right now that is going to make it happen, it most likely is Facebook. They bought Oculus, which is easily the most innovative, AR, VR, headset in the game right now. So I don't really know how I feel about, Tim Cook and Apple, what they're going to come out with, but it's going to be interesting to see, the landscape over the next year or two.
Yeah, and one last thing that I'll kind of add is like you said, Meta is definitely not anywhere near where it is going to need to be in order to get the masses to integrate to the platform. And the reason being is because, like you said, it's definitely not affordable. There's not a general understanding amongst the public. But I think if they can gradually, over the next 5 to 10, or whatever their kind of plan is, to get that to scale to where it is more affordable, more people have an understanding, people are more excited about it, they're more willing to go off of these other platforms and more comfortable kind of going into that virtual online world, then I think that they can gradually progress, and eventually I think the metaverse will eventually come to fruition.
Yeah, I think the metaverse is definitely a possibility for the future, but if I had to give a timeline on it, not for another 5-10 years.
For sure. And one last thing I'll say, I'm much more of a fan of the real world as opposed to that. I just think that there's definitely going to be application there, whether it's for stuff like online shopping, watching sports games, from where it looks like you're in person but you're really at home. I think all that type of stuff is going to be done there, which I think that's the exciting part about it.
There's plenty of application. They just can't do it at scale right now. Yeah. Not enough people are ready to get on board. And there's another piece in that article where he said, I don't really see people spending long periods of their life involved in this thing, putting this headset on and sitting there for hours on end of their life.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be the case at all right now. I think people would maybe treat it like a video game if they are using it, but you never know where things are going to go in 5 to 10 years. if that becomes the norm, then and that's where all their friends are, and that's where all their shopping takes place, and that's where all the companies are going in the VR AR space, then people are gonna slap the headset on and stay in there as long as they need to.
My one concern for this is I feel like Metaverse right now might be one of those things of like the PSP. Remember that like gaming system we had growing up? Is great idea, wrong time. And that was super innovative, way ahead of its time when it was released, but it just didn't get the attention and the love it deserved because it just wasn't the right time for that to come out.
I think it could stick around. It really is just like that thing. If you can provide it to people at scale, then it's not going to die out. Otherwise, then only people that are really invested right now, who are willing to go out and buy the headset, throw it on, and actually use it, those are the only people that it's going to reach, and then it would die out. But if they are able to continue to try to find a way to get this thing into, accessible to the public like a Facebook, then I think they'll have a chance to have some longevity with this.